Rev up your engines for the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast with Big E. Proudly sponsored by Christensen Law, where bikers helping engine bikers is more than just a motto. It's our commitment to the biker community. Be sure to tune in and listen to the latest news and biker buzz. And for all your personal injury needs, be sure to contact the Christensen Law team at 248-900-9000. What's up, bikers? It's Big E, and you're listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. We're talking all things bikes, the freedom of the road, and the brotherhood that makes this lifestyle what it is. From killer tips to wild stories from the highway, we've got it all right here. Life is short, bikers, so let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. So, as you are all well aware, we are continuing the 10-part series of the Wyld Stallions build-off, talking with each one of the builders. This week, we're talking to Chris Watt, and Chris is in Detroit, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And your Instagram is Beer Me Captain. Capt.
Yeah. Yeah.
C-A-P-T. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you want to follow along, that's a good way to do it. I'm sure he'll have plenty of pictures posted on there. So, all right, Chris, this is your first Wyld Stallions biker build.
Yep.
Is it your first build ever or no?
No, I kind of do a lot of the circuits around the U.S. and I try to build a bike every year, but this is the first time doing a Michigan-based build, so it's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you now. It'll be past by this time this airs. Mama Tried, you going to be there?
I was going to, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out this year.
Oh,
I've been
bummer.
every year, but unfortunately this year I might have to pass.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I won't have seen you there then.
It's always a good time. I really wish I could have made it this year, but
Yeah. Me and a couple of the brothers are going, and it'll be fun. Or actually, we've already went, and it was fun there.
yeah.
That's the only problem with recording these things in advance. So, you currently, I'm assuming, ride a bike. What is your current daily rider?
So my daily rider for the past probably 4 years has been my 65 Pan. And every year I kind of make a different iteration of it. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mutual friend, I'm sure you know Mike Drewyar at Steel Horse Ranch.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I had mentioned that I was kind of wanted a Pan, so he sends me a picture of a 63, and I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome bikes, man. If you tinker on them like really good, you can make them really reliable.
Yeah. Well, they were originally pretty reliable.
Yeah.
To start
Just
with,
old
so
tractor motors.
yeah. So your build this year, what are you starting with?
So I got a Paco frame I'm starting with, and then I'm taking my pan and drivetrain, and I'm going to be using it for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, this isn't your. Have you? What has been your favorite show so far to participate in?
Um, I'd have to say Glory Days in Pittsburgh's probably my favorite. I started going to that one probably 5 years ago, and it's actually a pretty funny story of how I started it. I had a Sportster chop at the time, and I rode it down there, and I didn't know anybody, so I pitched a tent in the middle of Pittsburgh, and then some of the builders and stuff found me, and then I became really cool with them, and my bike's been in there the last couple of years, so we're good friends to this day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the 10 questions that are burned into everybody's noggin now that have heard them?
I hope so.
I'm sure you got an advantage over the first three guys because you've heard the questions. So I expect really, really good answers.
I might still wing it.
Yeah. That's probably what I would do too.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your initial vision for your build and how do you see it evolving?
So I can't really say I have a vision, but I typically build pretty outrageous bikes like molded frames. Last year I had a 7.5-foot girder with a 60-degree rake. So this bike, I kind of just want to be simple and classy, but still a badass chopper.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna have any fancy bells and whistles. I think I'm gonna put a mag on it, and that might be the most fanciest thing on there.
Yeah.
But just simple, kind of take a break from the outlandish builds I usually build.
Right.
Something different. So,
what inspired your theme or style for this year's bike?
So I always been really into like 60s biker movies.
Right.
And I've always liked just that plain Jane style they had back then. So I'm taking a lot of things from them old movies and kind of putting them to this bike.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's the first part of the build you're focusing on and why?
So the first part is I took some rod and tacked it on my frame, and I've been blending it into my frame, kind of make accents on it. I'm sure nobody will notice once it's painted, but it's kind of something I wanted to do on a bike. And I did the front two legs, and that took me like 2.5 weeks by itself. So
wow.
I'm kind of focusing on that and getting it right.
Wow. You wouldn't think that would be that time consuming, but apparently.
Yeah. Blend it all in and make sure you don't have low spots and just get it perfect. I'm pretty OCD when I build. I mean, I like imperfections on a bike, but some things I want to get it, spot on.
Right.
So
how do you approach planning and sketching out your ideas before the build?
Usually I have a general concept in my mind, and I kind of got to fight myself with what's possible and what's not possible.
Yeah.
So I kind of have that first deal in my mind, and I go for it. But along the way, I'll change everything out. Like I was going to run a solo seat on this one, and yesterday I cut off the mounts I made, and now I'm going to make a seat pan. So it's always evolving and changing.
Nice. Yeah. It seems like most of the builders, they don't like sit down and have a design sketched out. It's just they just go with what they got in their head. And then, like you said, it evolves and changes as you start building it.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing to have that freedom to, you're not just stuck trying to make it look like what you drew.
Right.
You can always change it and got that freedom to, do what you want with it.
What do you think will be the most challenging aspect of this build?
Be honest with you, I don't think it would be too challenging. Like, I mean, I've probably built over 20 bikes, so I kind of got like a whole process and kind of got everything down. So it's relatively easy for me to build a bike. It's just, the frustration that comes with it and messing shit up.
Yeah.
So I don't think this one will be too hard, but.
So do you have any specific materials or techniques you're excited to experiment with this year? I know you mentioned what you were doing to the frame.
Yeah, well, molding. So I did molding before, but I did, what I would do is make kind of like a wire frame, and then I would make a mesh out of it. Then I would hit it with fiberglass and Bondo, and I would do it that way. So this is my first time just doing straight metal with no filler. So I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out.
Cool. What's one feature or concept you're determined to include in the final design?
So this one's everybody actually laughed at me for this one, but I really want to run an old bubble bag on this chopper build. I want to put a mount somewhere and run a bubble bag. It's different, you don't
Right.
you wouldn't think somebody would have a bag on a chopper, but I really want to include that. It's just different, I like doing different stuff.
Right. Yeah, you said you kind of do some different things, so this might be your little poke at the different.
Yeah.
Instead of doing something totally extreme.
Yeah. For the most part, it'll be pretty plain Jane, but I really I'm gonna be mad if I don't run that bubble bag.
Yeah.
I think it would be something cool.
So how do you prioritize functionality versus aesthetics at this early stage?
I've always struggled with that, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I had that 7.5 girder with 60-degree rake, and I mean, I rode that thing all over the U.S. So I feel like any crazy thing I do, I can kind of make it functional to a certain degree.
Right.
Most of the time, it's a headache. I mean, when I had that girder on, I broke my frame 3 times, so it wasn't really functional, but I made it functional.
Right.
So
that seems to be most of the builders I've talked to so far, or pretty much all the builders I've talked to so far, we're not building bikes that are going to sit in a window and look pretty. We're building something we can ride.
Right.
And they're all kind of on the same page with it being functional over aesthetics, over what looks nice.
Yeah. I would definitely say I'm definitely a builder, but I'm not like a show quality, you just, ride it into the show type builder.
Right.
I like to build my bikes. Like last year, I rode from Detroit down to Florida on my pan that I built. So like I definitely get some miles out of my builds, that's for sure.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So is there anything you've learned from past builds that you're applying to this one from the start?
I think just my mindset, I always have pretty crazy ideas. And I think this one, I'm just kind of stepping back because, over 20 builds, I kind of know what works and what doesn't work, especially for them long hauls like Detroit to Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of taking bits and pieces from everything. Like this bike, I'm running floorboards, because just running pegs hurts the ball of my feet. Just simple stuff like that I'm taking into this build.
Wow. That would be different.
Yeah.
Floorboards, yeah. That's, you don't see that on most chops or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's usually pegs,
Yeah. I think I had quite a bit of fun doing like the bare minimum type of chopper and doing long hauls.
Yeah.
But because I ride so much, like I did split tanks. I got some knuckle split tanks on there right now. Just make it a good bike for actually going long haul.
You have plans to ride it long haul or?
Yeah. So my next long haul, I'm gonna ride to the west side of the state, take the ferry to Milwaukee, and then there's a group of choppers riding from Milwaukee to Sturgis, and then I'm gonna ride Sturgis, loop down through Texas and all over there, then back up to Detroit. So I'll be on the road for probably like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
When are you leaving and taking the ferry?
I gotta get with because they do like a real big ride out there, but I'm not sure the exact date of it. I still got to get with them on that. But I would imagine it'd be maybe a week before Sturgis or a week and a half before Sturgis.
So what ferry are you taking? Are you taking the one out of Muskegon or the one out of Ludington? The car ferry, the big old car ferry, or?
The Muskegon one.
No, you're taking the Muskegon one, the Express.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer because we're actually headed out about a week before, and we're taking the one out of Ludington, obviously, because it's right here.
Right. But, yeah, originally I was gonna ride, down through Chicago and stuff, and I think it said like 23 hours. And me being me, I was like, oh, I could do that in 2 days. But
yeah,
then I looked up the ferry, and I mean it's expensive, but I think the time you're gonna save and you can relax,
Right.
I think it'll work out.
They say the Ludington one, I think we leave here at 9. I think we get there about noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. But
right. And I mean, you're just hanging out. You're not riding.
Right.
So
right. And then we're planning on riding 550 miles the first day. So after we get off the boat, we're going to ride 550 miles.
Right.
But you're chasing the sunset. So that's pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think from Milwaukee to, I think it was Deadwood. I looked up, it was 13 hours. And for me, I could do that in a day. I think the longest I rode my bike straight was like 20 hours.
Wow.
So 13 hours isn't really too big for me.
Yeah. I think the people I've talked to that have done it, what did they say? I think it was like 9:30 when they stopped riding.
Yeah.
And they were in South Dakota. So, and then it was just a hop, skip, and a jump the next day to Sturgis. So,
right. And I take back roads too, so everything's a little bit longer. Like when I did Florida, I did back roads all the way down to Florida. But I was doing, I think we're calculating, we did like 14 hours a day, 13 hours a day.
Some long days.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome though to do back roads instead of just, bombing the freeway going through the mountains and everything else.
So we do some longer rides, my group, and man, that's a long day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always hard finding people to ride with me because I'm pretty just like.
So how old are you?
I'm 32.
Oh yeah, you're still young. Shit.
Yeah, I can still handle it.
You can still handle it. I mean, I'm 54. 50,
yeah.
Yeah, 50. Oh, I'll be 54 this year. And I mean, we do long days, but I mean, it's nothing to do 300-400 miles in a day, but
yeah.
Damn. 20 hours on the bike, that's a long day.
I mean, that's because I had breakdowns and
my
exhaust broke, so I had to stop at the gas station and get some like wire it up and a bunch of stuff. I think I blew a head gasket on that trip, so I was on the side of the road doing a head gasket.
Oh, wow.
That's why it was 20 hours.
Yeah, that's still a long day. I mean, it's a long day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always hard finding people to ride with me because they know I just get gas and maybe like a drink of pop and then I'm back on the road.
Yeah.
So.
See, we do that kind of stuff. It's, that's just kind of, I mean, we'll go 200 miles for a freaking ice cream cone, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
just on a whim.
Yeah. If you like riding, man, it's, you can't really put a time limit or anything on it.
Right.
Just go.
Yeah. All right. So what's the most exciting part of starting a new build for you?
I think, probably seeing what I can do, what I come up with in my mind. Because, I mean, every build, you surprise yourself, you're like, oh, I can do this. Or, oh, I didn't think I could, put my taste into that or weld that up or make that mount. Or there's always something new you can learn and surprise yourself with.
Cool. So how much, I mean, do you do it all? I mean, everything from paint to putting it all together, or do you send it out to paint?
So typically the only thing I do is send my chrome out. I mean, starting from, I've never been like a fancy builder, so I kind of had to learn how to do everything myself.
Right.
So my first bike I built with a Harbor Freight welder, my first chopper, and that's how I learned how to weld. And then uh, the past couple bikes I painted, I don't really like doing paint too much just because the body painting's fine, but the body work I hate.
Yeah.
But most of the time I do all my work myself. My pan, I just split the cases 2 years ago, built it cases up just from watching a YouTube video. And that was my first time ever splitting cases on a motor.
Wow.
And yeah, she's been running like a champ ever since. So I kind of just learned stuff over the years and watched a lot of videos. Thank God to the internet.
Yeah, YouTube University is amazing.
But yeah, I've never been afraid to jump in and try things out so I can gain the skill.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my guests was talking and he said, well, maybe next year you ought to build a bike. And I'm like, yeah, probably not.
It's pretty crazy thinking, because I talk to people that are people hit me up all the time about them building a bike, and it's pretty wild thinking how easy it is for me now, because I did it so many times compared to just starting off. So
right.
It definitely is daunting for people to take that step and build something. But once you do it, like, it becomes easier every time.
Well, I kind of took that step last night. I built a Lego motorcycle.
There you go. Just step in the right direction.
It was kind of fun. I haven't played with Legos in forever, and I seen that, and I'm like, I'm going to build it. So
yeah,
it was kind of fun. I can say I'm a bike builder now.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm excited to see everyone's bikes. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. You don't have that far. You don't have that far to go, so I'm assuming you're probably going to ride yours right to the show.
Yeah. So it's funny. I actually ride for a club down here in Detroit, so I have to have my bike done by our update, which is May. So my build will be done way ahead of time.
I was going to ask you about how you felt about the time frame of the build.
Yeah, I'm planning to have mine done probably April, I'd imagine.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, because I got to be on the road and
right
start my season.
So you ride for a club. What club do you ride for?
Madmen.
No, okay.
We're a riding club, but we're all old school choppers.
That's cool.
There's 13 of us, and we all have shovel heads and iron heads and break down all the time every time we go somewhere.
Good times. It makes for the best stories, though. I mean, if nothing goes wrong, it's kind of boring. I know our last trip we had some issues, made for an exciting trip.
Oh yeah, well that's how people know me, because I'll travel to North Carolina and then blow my rear wheel drum, and then I'm sleeping in the woods, and then some stranger up, and I got a lot of stories from the road.
Well, that's cool.
These awesome people across the U.S. is breaking down and them helping me, or me rolling my bike into their shop.
Right. Yeah, you meet the coolest people on bikes anyways, and then when you add a breakdown to it or something like that, it seems like the stories get even better.
Yeah, I did that Florida trip, and I broke down. It was actually Charlotte, North Carolina, and my buddy's real good with the Prism Supply guys. So they picked me up from the hotel I was at, loaded my bike up, and they're cutting me spacers on their lathe, and they stayed open extra late. It was pretty cool that they would do that. A big company.
Yeah, that is
just
pretty
for outside the road.
Oh yeah, we've had some good stories about breakdowns, even though they're breakdowns and they kind of suck. But it's amazing how sometimes people just give you the shirt off their back to help you out. Go above and beyond.
Yeah. I've been offered hot meals, showers, everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. And I'm looking forward to seeing your bike when it's done. And who knows, maybe I'll see it before everyone else.
Yeah, there's a good chance I'll be on
going
the
to be
road.
done. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And maybe who knows?
I'll have to get with you for about Sturgis too. Maybe I'll switch my plan up.
Yeah, get a hold of me. You got my number now. Yeah, we're planning on headed out. I think it's the Friday, the 25th of July. And then we're going to ride out. And we're going to be out there like the week before. We're going to be there for a couple days of it, because it starts on, I think, the following Friday, the 1st.
Right.
And, but we want to get all the riding in before it gets too crazy out there. Being it's going to be the 85th anniversary, it's going to be crazy anyways, I think.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty crazy. Yeah, I'll get with you. I never really have a plan when I travel. I just have point A, point B.
Yeah. So. That's cool. Yeah, get a hold of me. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Chris, it's good talking to you. Good luck at the build. And, get a hold of us. Maybe we'll hook up and ride out Sturgis.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
All right, man.
I appreciate you having me.
Anytime. That's what we're here for, man.
Awesome.
All right. We'll talk to you.
All right. Yep.
Bye. There you go, Chris Watt, one of the builders for the Wyld Stallions Motorcycle build. I am super geeked for this build this year. The competition's pretty extreme. Got some awesome guys like Chris. 20 builds. And then you got Mike Druyor, kid Matt, first year building something all on his own. So varying levels. It's going to be awesome. That's all I got, bikers. So life is short. Get after it. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. Remember, bikers, life is short. Get after it.